Hey everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about how to know which oils to use. Big question, whether you're new or you've been around for the while. Sometimes you have the same question. What do I do? What do I use? You go to your box, you go to your collection and you think, I don't even know which one I'm going to pick. So I'm going to teach you at least two quick tips and tricks. And I'm going to tell you my 4 oils that I absolutely adore because they cover so many different things, and some of them may be oils that you haven't touched in a while. So stay tuned. We're gonna just start right up. I think there's a couple of things that we want to talk about. Number one is when we're talking about essential oils and we're talking about picking essential oils, it can sometimes be important for us to pick the right one. Other times we can pick an oil, and I'm going to just throw it out there, like a lavender or like a frankincense. That's kind of the Swiss Army knife of oils, both of them really. And if you're using those, good for you. You should be using those on a regular basis. The concept, though, is to sometimes to pinpoint it, to target a specific thing that is concerning us and make sure that we're actually getting the right oil for the job. So when I'm trying to pick essential oils, making sure that I am picking something that's going to work for me, I want to make sure that I'm picking something that's targeted. Now, for those of you who've been around a while, you know that I use tons of essential oils. You know that I have really, I would say the whole collection, right? So I would consider myself a collector, but I would also consider myself an avid user and also an experienced user. And I know for some of you who are watching this, you're also experienced users. So I'm not going to talk down to you. I want to make sure that you're getting something out of this and also something that you can pass along. So that's my goal for today, but it is part 1, right? How to know which oils to use. So let's get started. So number 1 on the hit parade is when we're using essential oils, we want to make sure that we're using good quality, high quality essential oils. We know that a good oil is highly concentrated. We can see this beautiful Japanese peppermint here. This is a specialty oil. So why am I showing a specialty oil first? I'm showing it first because sometimes doTERRA will give us some kind of a freebie or this amazing thing that we get to use. And I want you to think of that thing not as something you take and you guard in your closet or you put a special light on top of it as if it was a museum piece. I want you to put that into your rotation and use it. The idea with essential oils is they do expire eventually, right? They can evaporate, they can become less potent. We want to make sure, though, that when we have something special, that we're making sure that we're using it, because I want to bet that if doTERRA is giving us something special, they're giving it to us because we need it right now. So when we're talking about right now, we're often talking about seasonal threats. So that's when we have that kind of itchy nose, or maybe we have itchy eyes, or maybe we have a scratchy throat. For me, at least, all of my outdoor plants are blooming. My garden looks beautiful, but it's also full of pollen. If I leave my car outside, because usually I park my car indoors, but when I leave it outside, when I come out, it's actually covered with yellow pollen. It doesn't come off that easily. You'd think I'd start driving, it all kind of blow away. It really doesn't. It's almost a little bit sticky. So that's sort of weird. I have to have my car washed on a regular basis. All of that pollen that's on top of my car is also coming in through my windows and my doors and getting into my nose and making me a little bit crazy. So if you've got an essential oil and it's specific for this time of year, depending on where you're living and depending what the time of year is, use those essential oils right now. Your local market is providing you with things that are going to work for you right now. The other thing we want to think about when we think about essential oils are that when we're looking up an ailment, we know that they are listed alphabetically usually, right? But we want to make sure that we have the right ailment. Now, some things are pretty easy. If I have a cut on my hand, I have a cut on my hand, it's pretty clear. But sometimes symptoms can be deceiving. We don't know exactly what we have. Or we have something that's maybe lasting a little longer than we would like, and we're all actually beginning to think, is this the thing that I thought it was, or this is something new? That's where I'm going to challenge you to get a diagnosis from a medical professional, whether it's your doctor or your pharmacist or another medical professional, somebody who's going to come in and say, oh yeah, I don't think that's what it is. Do you need a blood test? Do you need an x-ray? Do you need someone to look at a bone wound or a bump or a bruise, right, with a professional eye and just say, we thought it was this, or you're telling me you think it's that. So that's number two. You want to make sure you have an accurate diagnosis. The other thing is when we talk about listings of essential oils, sometimes the listing is not that clear to us, or we look at it and we think, really, we can use that essential oil in that way? We know that there are 3 ways to use essential oils: aromatically, topically, and internally. But sometimes when we think of aromatic, we think of just what this gentleman is doing here, dropping it on our hand and then maybe rubbing our 2 hands together and cupping them over our nose and mouth and breathing in. But of course, you can be using a regular diffuser. You can smell directly from the bottle. You could wear an oil pendant. You could put a cotton round or a cotton ball into one of your vents, whether it's your air con or your heat, and make sure that the air is actually blowing through that essential oil. Some humidifiers can be used with essential oils. Make sure you check your manufacturer's warranty. I don't want you to break your humidifier, but there are different ways for us to use our oils aromatically. So when it says aromatic, consider using it in different ways. Same thing goes for topically. We can put it right on the area of concern, diluting it if it's necessary. We can apply it to those key areas. So sort of under the nose, the back of the neck, the forehead, and the wrists, where our pulse points are. We can apply it to the entire body, especially diluting our essential oils. So we think about maybe taking a generous portion of fractionated coconut oil, a palm or half a palm full, putting a few drops of essential oil in there, rubbing that together, and then applying it to our entire body. If it's something, if we are struggling with an ailment that makes us feel uncomfortable, just we really want to get into bed and we want to have that full body experience, consider putting the oils all over your body. I will frequently, when I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, take a good warm shower or a warm bath and then apply essential oils to my entire body. We can also apply oils to significant areas like the soles of the feet or the spine or even the navel or the crown of the head. All of those areas can be better absorption points depending on what the ailment is that we're concerned about. Last thing we can do is we can use the reflexology points, whether they're on our ears or on our feet or on our hands. We can use massage to really get those essential oils deeply into the tissues of the body. So when we're thinking touch or we're thinking topical, really challenge yourself to think of topical in many different ways. And then finally, internal. Right? We can do a couple of different things when we're ingesting internally. We can take a pre-made capsule or we can make our own. We can add essential oils to a glass of water or other sort of liquid and just kind of drink it down. You can put essential oil in the back of your hand and give your back of your hand a lick. You can also put essential oils under the tongue. We know that the tissue of the mouth, the buccal tissue, is extremely porous, and we can keep it there for a couple of extra seconds and then swallow it down. So challenge yourself. As I mentioned, don't just use your oils in the same way, and don't just think aromatic, topical, and internal and leave it at that. There are other ways to use essential oils. I'm going to go into more about that in part 2. That's kind of our next level. But when we think about essential oils, we want to challenge ourselves to use them in new and different ways. The other thing I want to talk about when we talk about essential oil usage, we want to talk about living kind of an essential oil life. So when we talk about the use of essential oils, and this is very often frequent, this is a common issue, I think, for new people. They may have a bottle of essential oil that they purchase. They may even have a little bit of a kit, and they'll take a very small drop and use that, and then they don't get exactly the result that they wanted, and then they're afraid to use more. They feel like they've used too much, or somebody hasn't told them, yeah, it's okay really to use several drops. Always keep in mind between 1 and 4 drops every time we use essential oil, and that's really for all the methodologies, whether it's aromatic, topical, or internal. Aromatic, honestly, if you're using a diffuser, you may have to use as many as 10, 20, or 30 drops, depending on how large the area is. Many of us live now in open concept homes or apartments where many of the rooms are just kind of blended into together, and the only room that's really contained and has a door might be our bedroom or our bathroom. So if your common area in your house is really kind of spread out, or you live in a house that has very high ceilings, you may have to be more generous with your essential oils so that you're actually getting the properties that you really need. For me, when I'm using essential oils in an open area, my kitchen dining room area is open, they're open to each other. I'll often put the diffuser a little bit closer to me so that I'm getting the essential oils in a more concentrated way. But if that's not possible, you might have to consider either using additional drops or a bigger diffuser. All of those things I think are really important for us to keep in mind. Last but not least, we want to consider a holistic approach to wellness by learning to address our health in terms of our body systems and our focus areas. We want to think beyond the disease symptom model, instead focus on supporting our body systems. Having said that, I'm going to talk about 4 essential oils now. I'm going to focus on one specifically, but 4 essential oils that I really love, and I'm going to show you why those essential oils are so important to us. So when we talk about body systems and focus areas, we're talking more about why the essential oil can be targeted to a single thing. So that doesn't mean there's the elbow essential oil, right? No. But there might be the ache and pain essential oil, or there might be the oil if it's a cut instead of an ache. It might be the anti-inflammatory essential oil. So that's what we want to think. We want to think in terms of bigger issues and ideas. So I'm going to show you 4 slides now with a whole bunch of ideas on them. You can take photographs of this. You can go back and look at it a little bit later, but the concept I think is the same. And when you think about these essential oils, I want you to think, they really do double duty, which is some of the things really that I love about essential oils, that they do double duty. Okay, so let's take a look now quickly at the Oil Properties Glossary, right? This is an important concept because we don't always get a sort of a bird's eye view of what essential oils can do. So this is our part 1, right? So part 1 is analgesic to anti-rheumatic. What I've done here is I've kind of color-coded some of the essential oils. So blue is for Douglas fir, green is for basil, purple is for patchouli, and orange is for clove. So I'm only talking about 4 essential oils here, but as you can see, these 4 essential oils can really do a lot of things. Everything from acting as an analgesic to working as an antioxidant. These essential oils do a lot. So when we're thinking about picking essential oils, these are some of I would say these are the main players for me. Of course, I already mentioned peppermint. I already mentioned lavender and frankincense. I would probably throw peppermint in there. I would throw one of the citrus oils in there. But these 4 oils are oils that maybe we don't think about on a regular basis, and I want you to consider thinking about them. So when we've got some of these oils, and what the other thing I did was I added the definition of what the oil can do. So if you have a reference book, and many of you do, you may see something like antifungal in there, or you may see the word anti-inflammatory. You're not exactly sure what that means. This is a list that's going to help you take a look at what those essential oils can do, and then begin to think creatively, especially as you're talking to another person about how they can choose their essential oils. Here's part 2, just really quickly. You can see we've got a ton of essential oils on here. Same ones though. This is our basil, our patchouli. I'm sorry, I don't know if I mentioned patchouli. Basil, patchouli, Douglas fir, and clove. Those are our 4. And you can see we've got really covering a lot of issues here. You can use these oils sometimes for 2 different things. So like if you needed an antiseptic and an astringent, you could just be using your Douglas fir. If you needed an antiviral and an expectorant, again, you could just be using your clove. So we've got one more page here. We've got our hypertensive to tonic. And then finally, wanted to give you the last 4 essential oils here, just so you can get a sense. Now, vasoconstrictor and vasodilator. Interesting. These are not covered by these particular essential oils. We can talk about more about the blood flow at a different time, but I think it's important for us to keep in mind essential oils can do all of these. They really do have all these different functions. And if you have a good reference book, it's going to tell you this particular oil is good for this particular body function. So as you're picking your essential oils, I want you to think larger picture, right? Not just small, not, well, I've always used lemon and that's really a good thing, or I love lemon and that's what I'm going to recommend. I want you to think for a bigger picture, and then maybe also be teaching what that bigger picture is. I'm going to dive a little bit deeply into cinnamon bark, because I want to talk a little bit about why it's important. Cinnamon bark is used throughout the world, really. It's an evergreen tree. It grows very tall, like 45 feet high, which is about 20 meters. Is that right? 15 meters? I think 15 meters. Anyway, if I'm wrong, let me know. It has fragrant bark and leaves and flowers. It's frequently used in mouth rinses and gums. This is one of those essential oils that I would include in my everyday routine. You can put it in a veggie cap. You can use it topically. I would dilute it because it tends to be warm on the skin. You can use it as a cleaning spray. So when we think of our essential oils that are the most groundbreaking, if you will, and really can be used in different ways, I'm thinking of the 5 essential oils that I mentioned. So Douglas fir, clove, cinnamon bark, patchouli. What's my 5th one? Oh, yeah, I have to go back. And basil, right? So those are the 5 that I'm thinking about. We've got some bark oils in there. We've got some flower. We've got some trees. Most of those oils fall into the herb or spice or tree oils. I didn't really add a flower in there, but I could, if I were going to add a flower, I personally would probably add magnolia. It's one of my favorites. Again, you could add lavender, but thinking about oils from all the different categories, you know that there are 6 categories of essential oils, and making sure that we are drawing as we're creating our own blends or as we're helping somebody else to pick essential oils, that we're explaining to them that there are 6 different categories. Sometimes I'll see the light bulb go off for someone. I'll be explaining to them, oh, there are 6 different areas from which essential oils are usually drawn, and then the light bulb will go off. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an overview. The last thing I want to mention to you is, let's say you're really confused and you're not sure which essential oil to pick. You've looked in the book, maybe you have a diagnosis, or you've talked to your doctor, maybe even talked to your pharmacist, and you're just thinking, what do I need? I'm not able to find a resolution for this challenge that I have. I would ask you to consider using an itoby scanner. I'm not selling itoby scanners, but I just want you to know that this is a technology that is available in most markets. It uses galvanic skin response technology to basically give an individualized report for how to choose essential oil, nutritional products, oils, and supplements. It's a small handheld device. It has 2 points of contact. So you're going to hold this in your hand for about a minute or 2, and then those measurable responses are going to actually go into an app and to form an individualized report. If you are leading a group, and you can see how it works here, you just be holding on to that device for a few minutes. I love the fact that it's battery powered. It's only 113 grams, so it's not super, that's 4 ounces for my US friends, not super heavy. And it does really, I feel like they're constantly tweaking it to make sure that we can achieve a high degree of accuracy and reliability. I use my itoby scanner on a regular basis, and I have some friends on my team that also have theirs, and we'll often give each other a scan. I think it's a great technology, and I'd like you to really consider it. The fact that you can mail someone a report after they've had their scan, email them, of course, is to me part of the benefit of using a technology like this. Don't like the itoby scanners. There are others on the market, of course, that you can use, but this is the one that I'm using. And I think when we're talking about picking essential oils, it's important for us to really make sure that we have some sort of diagnostic tool that we can use, whether it's a book or some other sort of report, an app, but also an itoby scanner is something that I would strongly recommend. In the, I guess, sort of in the final analysis, I would say there are tons of essential oils out there, right? And we can really feel the benefits. I want you to feel the benefits from exactly whatever is concerning you. And I want you to be able to help another person. I think what we do here is we not only try to teach others, and you've heard the old expression, to teach is to learn twice. If we're able to teach it, if we're able to talk to other people about how they can resolve whatever issues are concerning them, I think it gives them a great sense of relief, and us a sense of satisfaction that we're able to help another human being and really reach out to them and touch them. So I hope you find this information important to you, and also well worth using for your future contact with whoever it is that you're discussing essential oils with. I want to thank you for having been here every week. I'm really, I don't know, I'm touched by the fact that we get together on a face-to-face basis, or as much face-to-face as we can possibly be, and talk about essential oils and talk about wellness and health, because it really does mean a lot to me. And it's from the bottom of my heart that I share with you every week. And I just want to remind you all that I'm hoping that you have a wonderful, wonderful week. And thank you for having been here. Okay, we've got next week, we're going to be back, and we're going to be talking about the month of May. Can you believe it? Next Monday is going to be May 1st, and we're going to talk about all the specials in our markets around the world. Thanks again for having been here. Have an amazing week. If you have any questions, drop them below, and be sure to hit that button and subscribe and ring the bell so that you get notifications each and every time we drop a new video. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Bye-bye now.